in Fort Valley. He was the #1 man there, below the preacher.
That's a link.
But whatever.
They
And Mr.
redid
Willie lived on Montour Street, as you cross the railroad track, that house. is
Right.
still
Big house on the right,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I cannot tell you who John Miller was. Obviously, it looks like he's got a carpenter's jacket around him. I called Ms. Miller on 341, Hauser Miller's daughter, but I couldn't make connection with her. But apparently he was a prominent fella here in town at this time.
I think Mr. Wallace Harkin said he was more prominent farmer, one of the black farmers at the time, and they owned lots of
Up
land.
341?
But he is
Yeah.
not the same color that Hauser is.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Hauser Miller, I mean, he owns a lot. I mean, the Millers own a lot of land up there
A lot of-
today.
And
Yeah.
a lot they owned at that time.
Yeah.
I don't think they owned it.
Now, this is George. Now, this is George, and Wallace said that George actually, at one time, pulled the mail wagon from the railroad station to the post office. He would pick that up. Now, Dexter and I remember a different man doing that, but I talked to Wallace, and that's what he said. I never knew this gentleman here to ever work, but he always had a few pennies in his pocket, and he was loved by blacks and whites throughout this whole town. I call my dad a character. This is certainly a character we had here. I could name 20 really nice characters from Fort Valley. But George was very prominent. He was downtown every day. Somebody downtown saw him every day.
Well, remember, back in 53 when we came here to live, every time a certain train came by, there was more mail to be carried up
Oh, yeah,
up to the
yeah.
post office. So one guy probably had some help.
Well, I can't think of the guy's name that I remember doing that, but he did it for years. See, my dad's newspapers came in on the train, and so did the mail. And Dad and this black guy were probably two of the first people to come to town every day
Yeah.
for all those years. And Dad would be counting out newspapers, and this dude would be pulling that wagon. He actually pulled it. It wasn't a horse and wagon. He pulled it.
They were doing it in 53.
Yeah.
I saw it.
Nick, Miller, the farmer, he lived on 341 North.
That's undetermined. Now, Hannah Miller did.
It's on, still there.
His daughter lives there now.
Mr. Pearson.
Which one?
Up close to Cleveland.
He couldn't get enough money to get a peach crop one spring, and the banks wouldn't loan him any. So he went to that Miller, and Miller loaned him money to
They
make
make
a
a
peach crop.
that's a true story. Well, it's told for it too. All right. When James showed me this picture, it just touched my heart. This is Woody and Ann Marchman. Now, if you know Bobby Marchman, it was Bobby's uncle's daughters. But they were cute as pie, as you can see. And their father was Shanghai Bill Marchman. Mr. Marchman went to Shanghai as a banker. And it stayed over there for years. Well, when the children came along, for whatever reason, they came back. And they actually lived in Fort Valley probably for 10 years, is what I would guess.
They lived where Gloria Lacey lives now.
Yes, right. Bill built that house.
And wasn't the wife real fancy and real pretty and real?
Yeah.
But these girls were just as sweet and kind and gentle as they could be. And I told William, told James, I said, put them in there because Bobby Marchman lives here now still, and he's our uncle. But I'd love to see both of those children.
When Woody has died,
Has she?
she had cancer.
Hmm.
I don't know about Ann. She lives somewhere in Tennessee. I believe. Or North Carolina.
Bill came back here, was in the peach business, and with Bobby's daddy. He lived out in the west part of the Peach County in Crawford.
Nick, when I was in high school, Bill Marchman's mother owned Connie and Frank Freshwater's house. And I spent the night up there with Woody when I big fishes on the 3rd floor.
Were you scared to death?
Ryan and Solomon was a broker for pecans, and I'm sure they must have farmed or had pecan groves themselves. But this is Mo Solomon, and I think you living in Mo Solomon's house. But they had a little small office. Some of you, like Dexter, would remember where Marion Allen's office was downtown. Marion rented that after this business, Wright and Solomon went out of business now. Wallace Harlan worked with Wright and Solomon.
The Solomon girl came by about 6 weeks ago to see me. She lives in Atlanta, and so does her son.
Good night.
We used to pick up pecans on the sides of the road, where the city in front of the library and all, we'd take them there and sell them.
Yeah.
You know, you'd only have a
Sell 5 pounds.
half a pound or whatever they buy them from you.
Yeah, I'm going to take this one too. I don't mean to dominate, but this is Raymond Lafayette Harvey. And as you can see, he was a big man. And I'm going to call 2 names tonight, and forgive me if I shouldn't. But Mr. Harvey was a Baptist preacher, and he was real loud. And I mean, he would shout. You just wake up to dead almost. But after he would get off on a subject, and all of a sudden, Miss Walter Pierce would start nodding. And he'd nod, and then you look over there, and Warner Wells, a prominent lawyer, he'd just be nearly back gone. And Reverend Harvey would see that, you know. And after a shout, he'd hold his hands up, stand up, just, and he said, "Are you listening?" Oh, 2 years. He'd wake him up. He would wake him up in spite of him. But he was a great man. He was here, I guess, probably for 8 or 10 years. He baptized me. I don't know where it ever took, but
He had a daughter.
yeah.
That was
Fine fellow there.
I want to know why they call it fried chicken egg.
Well, you never seen a Baptist preacher wouldn't eat fried chicken. Sometimes in the early days, that's all they got.
Is that in front of the same clothing
I
store,
think that was from
Yeah,
Edwards,
that's
isn't it?
the.
That's it.
Edwards?
Nick, could I please tell you something else about Mr. Harvey? I was in church the Sunday morning that he preached his last sermon here. And during the sermon, he said that this church had never given him a vacation. So that afternoon, the deacons got together and fired him. Because the church had given him multiple vacations.
And that was the reason they found it?
Not really.
I guess that was his thought.
Oh.
Mr. Bowie.
Now this is Bo Edwards. Now we had 2 Edwards. Oh,
No, you do it all, you keep on.
Now, Edward clothing was by Avery Drugstore, and this man was influential in the Bank of Fort Valley. He was the director there, and he owned Edward Clothing Store just up from where James is now. And he had been there for years. When he got old enough to retire, wanted to retire, he sold his store to a man named Armstrong, and Armstrong just bought lock, stock, and barrel, and Mr. Edwards retired. He had a daughter named Jerry, and help me out, Mary, with his family.
Yeah, okay, the oldest one was Ada, and a girl named Ada, and a girl named Pat, and then I think it was, what was his name?
Russell.
Russell next, and then Jerry. Jerry just died this year. But,
Russell was a Methodist preacher.
Now, he lived across, right, they lived,
they live next door to where I live. Yep, they live in the Vernon Wright house.
yeah.
Well, y'all, I remember when Edward's clothing store was on the opposite side of the street of your store now, James. Does anybody else remember
But
that?
that's, yeah, I do, but he told me.
Now, this one is on the same, where Bones.
Yeah, I remember Armstrong's too, yeah.
Okay, that's where this man,
Do you
Well,
remember the
yeah.
one next to the drugstore, Pete?
Yeah.
Okay, what's messing you up is,
Next to Pete
he's
and Gus.
standing in the wrong
Where
place.
Armstrong
He's,
is.
he's standing in the reserved for doctors sign, and that's the other Edward store. His store is the one that he's talking about on the other side of the street, up near
That's
with
where
Norman
Beth
Hotel.
Cleveland is
Am I
now.
making myself clear?
Yeah.
What you are?
It's too bad.
That's on
now
the,
John Vance is in front of Edwards, and Mr. John was the #1 salesman for Edwards Road for years and years and years. I've got a little postcard that this gentleman would mail out every September, advertising back to school shoes, $4.95. That was it.
That was expensive.
That was when school started back, would start in right after Labor Day. But he'd mail them out, they'd mail them out every year and have a back to school sale.
the first suit I ever bought from him.
Is that right?
Well, years before it was that, it was my great uncle's dry goods store, and my daddy worked down there when he was a teenager till 11 o'clock on Saturday nights.
What was the
That's
name
how
of
that
it?
store stayed open on Saturday.
What was the name of the business?
Maybe Brown's Dry Goods, I don't know.
And it was that store right there, Pete.
It was what later became Edwards,
Which Edward?
where Mr. John Vance worked.
Okay.
Well, which building is that now?
That is where eventually became the Parsan Ladies. That's where Fort Valley State is right now. That's the taller thing, right next to Avery's.
Adjacent to Avery Road. They just-
On the west side of the
Just
It's
drugstore.
where the doctor's office was, that's where it
That's another picture of it. That's a shot. The trash cans are there and the doctor signs are in this picture. They were not in that previous picture, but it's just another shot. And they must have been out to a parade or something. This is interior of the Edwards clothing store.
Yeah, that's Russell Edward, and
Lawrence
was.
House.
Lawrence Haskins.
Yeah.
Both of those men became Methodist preachers, and Lawrence Haskins just died not that long ago. How long ago? 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, he was
Every
in,
preacher in Georgia came to the funeral.
he was in, Sylvia was in the same church with him for years.
Where are you really sitting?
She didn't know it.
With Lawrence Haskins?
You get the Bible.
I'll be down.
Go ahead, Richard.
But I tell you about Russell Edwards, he'd get out on the golf course, if you were playing ahead of him, and he wanted to come through, buddy, he'd come right through. He would, he was a preacher.
Now, Harry Saber married Bobby Marchman's aunt. We call her Tugger. Her name was Frances. But Harris had Mr. Hafer. He got me my first job with a finance company in Macon. He had a Dodge agency, he had a Gulf oil station. So about where Kentucky Fried Chicken is now.
Oh, look.
This is the first band that Fort Valley High School had. This is 1947. And I point out a lady right, this is Miss Parks. And that's Parks grocery store right there.
Oh.
This is Knoxville Street. If you'll notice, there's nothing but just,
Look, y'all, that's
there's
fine.
no houses or anything back there. And 96 was the dirt road through here.
Oh,
You know, name these people, Nick, you know them.
This is Joyce Murphy, Betty Sue Allen, Claire Hauser, Norma Young, Betty Futrell, and this one I don't know, I'm sorry.
And the band director, you see him on the
The
side.
band director was Leon Culper.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's in
The high school is to the right, obviously, those picture oriented there.
So that's looking north.
Right there.
That's looking north.
Right.
Tapatio is right there.
Tapatio.
Tapatio.
Golly.
Exactly.
We got a house up
Go ahead, that's several pictures of the band. Mr. Rudy Mills,
Got that picture.
sent me this picture. He used to be in the band. He's one of the saxophone players, and this was again, 1947. He lives in Chicago. He's a retired dentist.
Dexter's there on the back row.
Is that you?
That's Dexter right there.
What did you play, Dexter?
Trumpet.
Did you?
There's another picture of a band. It's about the same.
This is later because Cecil Martin's over here on the right. My sister's up there by the tuba on the top left. Yeah,
Marvin White.
Billy Cannon,
That's the old.
Feeling Love.
England, Masters.
Yeah.
Who are the major reps? Sid Clay and Betty Beckham, who are the?
George Murphy is on the right of Claire, and Maxine Hatchett is on the left of,
Go ahead, Rick. This is an interesting photo. This is obviously a parade or something in downtown Fort Valley. The gentleman right here, again, this is Chief Cochran. You can tell that's the silhouette of him. That's the Little Star grocery store. That's where Adams is now, the lawyer, the attorney. Somebody, this is that Sing Oil thing, Miss Dot. That's, you said your husband
Yeah.
used to work there, Bill worked there a long time ago.
Well, my uncle owned it.
Oh, okay. But I thought that's a neat picture.
Yeah.
What's interesting about this picture, that's the old high school auditorium.
Yeah.
And I thought this was the new gym, but Nick said this was the
That's
old.
the old gym.
Oh, yeah.
And you notice there's nothing in between. There was obviously later on an addition that connected all that. And I knew there's a picture following this that shows the groundbreaking on the new gym. Go ahead, Rich. And this is it. This is the mayor, Ashby McCord at the time. That's Mr. Ernest Anderson. Wallace Hardiman, that's my father right there. But this was the groundbreaking ceremony. And you'll actually notice there's some brickwork here. They were actually constructing the new gym at that time. So actually it's a little bit after the fact. But,
the white building in the back was a canning plant that the school owned, that people could go in and during peak season and can peaches and any other thing.
That was anything you wanted to.
The man with the shovel next to Mayor McCord, I think that's Pearson there, Law.
go ahead, Rick. You like, I don't know about these.
This is about 1950 here, girls basketball. Martin Morris, his wife, Miss Frances Morris, was the coach at that time. Betty McDermott is the first girl on the right. Ann Thorne was second. Joan Barfield was third. Teach girl, I don't remember the girl with the trophy, but who
One of
was she?
them, in that John Barker, that one was Barbara Time.
Barbara Tyler, that's Barbara Whittington.
Yeah.
She was,
In that John Barker on the right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So this would be right after.
The
this.
girl right back of Joan Barfield was Loretta Walton.
Where she
Some of
was
the other,
shooting,
yeah. Ann Wheelis is next to the coach. Beth Hatch or something.
Yeah. Loretta Walker.
This was probably actually in the early 50s, but this was a early Fort Valley State homecoming. This is a picture I got from Wilton Walton and some that he had from the Leader Tribune. I have no idea. That's probably the homecoming queen at the time. You've seen this before. The significance about this picture of the courthouse, this is before the annex, and if you'll notice, this is how the original building was. Later, there was a pitched roof because they had a leak. The flat roof was always a problem, so somewhere along the line, the county commissioners at that time decided they had to fix that. So that's just a postcard of the era. Go ahead, next one. Same thing with the post office. Notice the trees though, they're not there anymore, but look how tall the trees are on the outside of it. And again, this is just a postcard that was around at the time. Go ahead, Rich, next one. The Winona, one of our landmarks is gone, obviously, torn down in the 60s, I think. You want to talk about that? That's the one you had, that's the color code. Back up one, I gotta say one thing about the Winona. This is where my daddy spent his first night in Fort Valley. He got off the train from Griffin, he just married my mother. They had driven through Fort Valley on their way to on their honeymoon on Florida. It was such a bustling place at the time, they decided they wanted to come here. But he spent the first night, you know, looking for a place to set up a business. He stayed right there.
Well, do we know when that was built? The hotel?
Actually, it goes way on back. It's called the Harrison. It was built in originally like 1800s, I think. It's called several names and remodeled 2 or 3 different times and had different looks and all.
When Bill and I married and were over here, on Sundays, we go down there and have lunch for $2 a piece, and you had more food than you could think about. But you went into the lunch to eat on the side.
Right.
This picture we got this afternoon from Ann Pearson. She wanted to make sure this was
It
included.
wasn't,
Ann
it
McGee,
wasn't
sorry.
going down
Well, she
until,
was Ann Pearson.
it wasn't going down until about 56. Ever when Paul Whelan was there, because we were here and Greg, you know, the Olin Mills used to would make pictures there, and Greg had a picture made there for the boy.
Go ahead, Rich. Y'all had mentioned Collins Court. That's how it looked in 1943. They obviously sold gas out in front of it too. That's something y'all may not remember.
I don't remember that. You sure that's on?
I'm sure, I'm
Yeah,
positive.
it's so gas station.
It's changed several times and been remodeled, but that was how it looked that particular day. That's not a very clear
That's
picture.
City Halls.
Hall's half acre.
Yeah.
And Miss Dot, you asked about the dinosaur thing. That's not the picture that had, I have a
I wish it had
picture
the
of it.
dinosaur on it.
It was an earlier picture in the
Yeah.
30s, I think.
Those dinosaurs.
But this was at 5 points, it no longer exists.
I've got to remember.
Is that
That's where the car wash is now.
That's it.
Everybody
Bill.
else.
This is great.
I remember Sheriff Beeland had a short black, crippled black man working for him, lived on his farm. And Sheriff Beeland didn't know it, but that black man working for him had a still on his farm. On Beeland's property.
Goodness, this has been great. I appreciate you putting this together and appreciate the input from all you folks. I guess we could probably go on and on and on. So we'll have to do something like this again, maybe another era, because I think everyone's really enjoyed this. I want to make a few announcements. We're going to forego a business meeting tonight. Saturday, we're having our yard sale. We invite you to come and see if we've got some goodies you might like, or if you want to make a donation, we'll take that. And by that, we are a tax-exempt 501c3, so if you make contribute something or donate something, then you can get a tax deduction for that. And again, our chicken salad luncheon will be coming up in June. May the 14th, there will be a workshop down at the theater, and this is for tax incentives for historic preservation. So some of you may be interested in this, particularly if you have any historic properties that you're thinking about doing some renovation on. Just some good information. And again, we want to take pride in our the history of Fort Valley. Personally, I think it's one of the greatest assets we have, and so we want to maintain that and hopefully stimulate the interest in our younger people. So we have refreshments. We ask you to join us for that, and hope you'll come back and join us for another meeting. We always meet the 4th Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. So again, thank you, James. Nick,
And Rich,
Rich, and Bobby.
Bobby Barnes.
Yes, we do appreciate it. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to mention?
It was most enjoyable.
Thank you.
If you're interested, then let me pass these out or